Yo guys, what is up? Today this is the 200 sub special. What if Deku was betrayed? Part 1. So this takes place after the overhaul arc. After Deku has defeated overhaul, and in this one he adopts Eri a while after. And he and Ochako are together. And in this one I'm gonna do a you guys tell me what ship you guys want in the comments. And I was honestly thinking about making one of the girls a 1A or 1B, probably a reincarnation of Toka. If you guys know who that is from, you guys know where I'm going with this then. So one day he took Eri out for some. Deku took Eri out for some trading to help her train and master her quirk. And then when he came back, everyone was looking at him with death glares, as they're like, what the? And he's like, guys, what's going on? As Ochako comes up to him and slaps him, and he says, shut up, you villain. As he's like, villain? What do you mean? And then as he comes in, as All Might comes in and says, you took Midoriya, you're under arrest for giving UA files on UA to the League of Villains. So All Might is gonna be kinda like a dick in this one, but not at the same time. Like he's gonna take back One for All, but he isn't gonna assume that Deku's working with All for One. I'm gonna say. So he's like, I'm taking back my quirk. Like, okay, why? It's like, because I knew I should never give my quirk to a villain in the first place. And then the only people who don't believe he's a traitor is Tokoyami, Todoroki, Bakugo, as well. He known Deku for all his life. He knows that all he wanted was to be a hero. So he was like, why would he become a villain? Why would he decide to be a villain now, when he could easily became one before you even started? And he decides, and also who also doesn't believe he is half like Mina, Momo, Kirishima, Kaminari, Tokoyami. I'm pretty sure I already said him. I don't know. But yeah, if I haven't, then Tokoyami does. And I'm gonna say Shiozaki and Kendo and Hianagi from 1B. And Tetsu and Monoma too, I'm gonna just say. Y'all don't believe that Deku is a villain? Is the traitor. Before they take Deku away, Bakugo comes up to him and hugs him, and he says, I'm sorry for everything I did. He's like, I'll try to prove you innocent. And he's like, it's okay, Kachan. I forgive you. It's like, you know I didn't do this. And he's like, yeah. So I'll prove you're innocent. I'll try to do it as soon as I can. He's like, okay. Or at least try to take your time so you get the actual clear evidence that I am not. He's like, okay. In this one, Mitsuki actually has contacts has friends who are in the police. And in this one, Inko is a businesswoman and a police officer too. So like when Inko hears about her son being the traitor, she doesn't believe it, as she immediately gets on his case. And Aries just left to cry. She's like, thank God that villain's not in here. Thank God that villain's gone. So, like, as she says, Aries, come on. We're going out to mommy's room. She's like, you're not my mom. You're not my mom. You, mom, my mother I knew would never betray Papa's trust. Like that. As she runs up to her room. As she runs up to Deku's room. Which she asks Nezu to add to make a bit larger. So he can fit a bed in there for Eri and some toys and stuff. And so, yeah. When he's getting wheeled away by the police, then one of them is actually Detective Tsukauchi. He's like, look, kid, I know about all my secret. And I know that you're the heart of a hero. So I'm gonna get some of my best detectives on this case. And he's like, thank you, Detective Tsukauchi. As when he gets to Tartarus, he's put in with the big bads. He gets put in his cell. He gets put in with Overhaul, Stain, and All for One. And you're like, what? Who the hell are you? And he's like, wait, All for One, Overhaul, Stain? Like, how the hell do you know this kid? He said, it's me, Izuku Midoriya. He's like, what are you doing here? As he's like, I've been damn framed. As they're just surprised, as awful mumbles Toga. As he's like, Deku's like, huh? What was that? Says Toga must have used their quirk then. He's like, I forgot a quirk. I forgot that was her quirk. Using blood of others and she can transform into them. As Awful One's like, yup. And as Stain is actually kind of pissed a little. Just like, cause they put someone who he believed could be as great as All Might away in prison. When they, let's cut over to 1A's perspective for a little. As Ocharu like, finally that villain's gone. They're like, so who wants to have a party? Everyone except for the people that said didn't believe it, Deku said, yeah. As they all that day had a party with the people who didn't believe Deku and Aizawa, and I'm gonna say that Snipe, President Mike, and Midnight also didn't believe that Deku was a traitor. And somewhat Principal Nezu, since he didn't want to believe it. Since he saw Midori as one of the star students of 1A. And someone who can easily become a top hero once he masters his quirk. And the reason why Mike, Snipe, and Midnight don't believe it is because they've grown close to Deku. Like, they all have gotten to know each other. And Izuku actually views them as his uncle. Views Snipe and Mike as uncles and Midnight as an aunt. And during this time, that a week later, Eri is sitting in Izuku's room just crying, crying her eyes out. She was just straight up bawling them out like crazy, because she just saw her dad, her father, just get thrown into prison, get taken away to prison for something he didn't even do. As actually Bakugo and Kirishima come up there and say, Eri, can we come in? We brought you some food. You haven't came out in a week. You're gonna starve. As she opens up the door, she's like, Uncle Bakugo? Uncle Kiri? Like, yes, it's us. As they're like, as she jumps into there, as she runs up to him and hugs him, she's like, why did that happen to Papa? Why did they get taken away for something he didn't do? He's like, as Bakugo's like, no worries. I've known your father ever since I was little. He would never become a villain. She's like, so she says, you knew him ever since you were younger? Yes, I'm actually a couple years younger than you. We met in preschool. He was always so kind and cheery. He was a kid that everyone wants to be around. But sadly, they found out about his quirk. No, you had to keep his quirk a secret though, because of due to how strong it is. He was afraid people might try to steal it away, kidnap him, to use it. So, and as he starts to tear up a little, it says so. I bullied him without me knowing. As she's like, it's okay. You didn't know. So he's like, we're gonna try to prove your father innocent. Too. They really, as a child comes out there, it says, what are you two doing with my daughter? As I say, she's not your daughter. She even said that herself. But she's like, Ari, come to mama. As Ari said, no, you're not my mama. As she's, as the people who believe in Deku come up there and see what's going on. As they're like, what's going on here? As Osaka says, these two fools are trying to instill false hope into Ari, into my daughter. Like, me trying to prove Deku is innocent? She said, yeah. He's a villain, so you guys should deal with it. So they should deal with it. Or like, we didn't believe Izuku was a villain at all. And they all gather around Ari. As he just does that classic Bakugo. As he just basically does what Bakugo does a lot. And he says, whatever. As she just storms off. And then there's just separation between Class 1A. They stopped with everything they done. All the group activities, it'll just be divided into two. Into two separate groups. The team that believes in Deku, and the team that doesn't. And so, we cut to Izuku's perspective. During this week, it just been a bit messed up. Let's just skip a month later. No, actually, 3 months later. Almost the start of their second year at UA. As everyone, as all the villains are just jealous, as like, how the hell is this kid just gets to sit with the big bad, with the top three most dangerous ones here, all just because they believe he was a traitor. As one day, a group of people come up, just decide to jump Deku. As the guards see this, they're like, hey, stop! As the goons run away, they're like, oh crap! He needs medical emergency now! As they have a hospital there for those. And the guards actually understood Izuku, so they treated him differently from the others. They actually treated him kindly. And so they took him to the medical place, as the doctor did everything they could, but Deku was in a coma. While Deku was in his mindscape, he saw this man. Yeah, he sees this man right here, and that wearing the suit, but just with the mask off. As he's like, "Who are you?" As he says, "My name is Ken Kaneki. You are my reincarnation." He's like, what? A reincarnation. You are the person. I, you could just basically say I'm like your past life. Basically, I'm like your past life, and you are gonna inherit all my powers and abilities. And this one, Deku's gonna have every single type of what is the Kagune. The I forgot what they're called. I know that there's that. I'm pretty sure it's like the Utaku Kagune. He has the main defense one, the projectile one, and the attack one. I got what the other one does though. Basically, the one that's in between strength and defense, and he's also gonna have his own custom Kagune. He's basically gonna have all Kaneki's abilities plus the other Kagunes, and as he's like we're gonna train for 7 years, for 8 years in here. And he's like 8 years. What the? He's like relax. 8 years in here is only equivalent to like a month or two out in the real world. And he's like okay. He's like I'm gonna train you in your Kagune and all that. And then during this time, on the day before Izuku wakes up, the boys are talking. As Tokoyami says, "I wish Midoriya was here so we can use it, so I can ask him to borrow his notebook." As he's like, as Bakugo's like, wait a damn minute, Tokoyami, repeat the sentence you just said again. He said, and he repeats it as he's like, Bakugo does slash figures that he hits his fist together. He's like, "That's it." As he's like, what do you mean? That's the way that Deku's innocent. That Izuku's innocent. It's like, they're just shocked. Says Bakugo never calls Deku. All they knew that was Bakugo always called Izuku Deku. That's the first time he ever called him Izuku. He's like, what do you mean? His notebook. He has all of our quirks, all the quirks of every UA student and every UA teacher. So why would he need to steal the files if he just has it all in one notebook? As they're like, you're right. That's true. As he's like, I gotta go to his mom's house. As he's like, Kirishima, come with me. It's like, okay. You guys get the notebook out of his room. We're going to get his rest. As they're like, okay. As he also says, meet up at the principal's office after you get the notebook. As they run there, as Katsuki rapidly knocks on Nico's door, as she's like, hold on, I'm coming. And she's like, oh, Katsuki, what are you doing here? And he's like, we found a way to prove Izuku innocent. Where's his notebooks? And she's like, as she tells him, as she's like in his desk drawer where he always keeps them. It's like, great, can we come in? And she's like, why? That's the way we're gonna prove Izuku's innocent. His notebooks. She has information on every hero that he's ever seen, on the internet, national TV, all of that. As she's like, oh wait, that's right. As she's like, quickly, come in. As they just rush upstairs and grab all of Izuku's notebooks, and so they just start they just rush back to UA. Bakugo doesn't care if he gets in trouble or not. He's using his explosions and with flying. Kirishima is just running like he's never ran before. As they just see this, as everyone's just seeing this. As when they get up to UA, they bust into the principal's door. They bust into the principal's office as they're like, we got evidence that Izuku Midoriya is innocent. As they're like, huh? As he pulls out as they just dump out all the notebooks he has, all these notebooks. They have all the quirks of every hero and all the UA in his main notebook that he always carries around. He always he has every single UA student's quirk, strength, weaknesses, and all the teachers' quirk, strengths, and weaknesses. Why would he need to steal files if he has it if he always carries it with him? Think about it. It's like, oh shit, you're right. It was almost like, as on my head, like it was at this moment that I knew I fucked up. As also, we got back to the Tartarus. Izuku had just. This is a day later. They say Izuku has just woken up as a Zuka comes in and says, "Hey, kid, you're going to go. You're proven innocent." You're like, I knew it. I fucking knew it. As he just goes out and okay, it's probably gonna be at least a 30-minute long, 30 to 35 minute long. Hopefully, I can't tell. But along with it, I hope you guys enjoyed this too. So afterwards, this is us. I'm gonna think about what to do next after this. So yeah, answer the what if. He had just woken up and was just told that he was proven innocent. He's going today. He's like, bet as he just picks up basically what Kadeki's wearing in his picture. This is what Izuku looks like right now too. You wonder what his hero costume is gonna be like? I'm gonna show you. This is what his hero costume is gonna be like, right here. It's gonna be his new hero costume. So, as Izuku comes out, and he sees All Might, Nezu, and Aizawa with Bakugo, it's like, yeah, I know, I'm proven innocent. Could you let me out of these restraints, please? As he's like, oh wait, never mind, I got it. As he just breaks his restraints, as they're just shooketh. They're like, how the hell is he this strong? No. As they're like, what's his power? He's like, oh yeah, if you're wondering, I got my quirk. And they're like, okay, what's your quirk? Deku says it's called Ghoul. I bet I had all the I could do multitude of things. My Ghoul powers activate. I sprout these things on my back called Kagune, and my left eye turns red, black and red. I have superhuman strength, speed, and agility, and endurance, and I can regenerate a lot. And I can regenerate practically anything. I can replace any. I can regenerate any fallen limb, as long as it's not destroyed. Too. And there's a downside to it though. I was like, what is it? If I want to gain more power, I have to do one thing that'll classify me as a villain. I was like, what is that? Eat people. And they're just surprised. They're like, if he eats people, he can gain more power. Like, oh yeah, I forgot. I can turn people into ghouls. I'm just gonna give him that ability for fun. And so, someone told me the name of all the Kagune he has, since I forgot them, all the names of them. So, as when they go back to UA, they just Nezu gets called that the USJ is being attacked again. Are the League of Villains with two Nomus this time. As they're like, oh shit, we gotta go. As he's like, we beat you suckers there. As he and Katsuki just run off, dash off. Katsuki uses his explosion. Is like they're like I'm flying, motherfuckers. as Izuku's just using his Kagune and is using it to increase his jumping height, basically to increase his mobility in the air. When Hikatsuki reached the USJ, they just crashed through the window. As they see most of 1A being attacked, most of 1A knocked out, except for the people who believed Deku wasn't innocent, and they were trying their best to protect Eri, since that's their main objective, to kidnap Eri. As he just sees the Nomu knock him out as they're about to grab Eri, as Izuku is just, he big boy pissed. He rushes down there and he just stabs the Nomus in the back and throws them away with his Kagune. As he's like, "You bastards! You dared to try to hurt my daughter." As basically the Kagune, as you see in the picture right now, that sprouts out of his back, as a good old fashioned Kagune finger crack. As he's like, "Now you're gonna pay." As it says, "Also, I'm gonna have fun eating your flesh." And Shigaraki is just scared shitless. Like, who the hell is this kid? He's like, "You may be wondering who I am. It's Izuku Midoriya. It's Izuku Midoriya Kaneki now, motherfuckers. Get it right." As he jumps towards Shigaraki and tries to impale him with the Kagune, as he says, "Nomu, defend!" As one of the Nomus gets in front of Shigaraki and takes the stab. But when Izuku drops it, he sees that it isn't regenerating. As he's like, "What?" And when the other one comes up, and during this time, that Izuku's fighting the Nomu, the class is slowly starting to wake up to see this. As then Izuku's like, "I've had enough of this." As he impales both the Nomus in the head, just killing them immediately. That's this man having a big ass feast on them. He eats the Nomu until there's nothing but their head and their skeleton left. Actually, just the brain. As they're all about to throw up, as Shigaraki's like, "Kurogiri, open a warp. Cause fuck this shit, I'm out. I ain't trying to get eaten, dog." As basically, they dip out like a bunch of wussies with the rest of the league, too. As Ida gets up and he says, no, as Ida rushes at Izuku. No, as Izuku rushes over the area, he's like, "Eri, it's me, Izuku." She's like, "Papa?" As she jumps into his arms, as she screams, "Papa!" As Izuku's like, "Hey, little snowball." As Ida just goes and it says, "Recipro burst!" I'm just gonna stick with this one since I like this one better. As Izuku gets knocked back by the Recipro burst. As all the people who believe Deku was a villain just start to jump him and start to punch and kick at him. As Izuku just did one full, he pulls a Zuko and just starts breakdancing, and he knocks them all off their feet. It's like, "Calm down, I'm innocent." As they're like, "Yeah, right." As Aizawa comes in and cancels all their quirks and throws the scarf down, he's like, "It's correct. Turns out it was Himiko Toga. She framed him." As he's holding them all back, all the people who didn't believe in Deku back with his scarf. Hang on. Okay. I'm gonna probably stop around like 35 minutes, so I'm gonna try to get through the sports festival real quick. So, they have 2 weeks off like in canon, but Izuku in this time is spending time with whoever he wants a ship to be, and Eri. As it's just basically as you ask somebody if you want it to be an OC, I create, or if you want it to be one of the people who didn't believe Izuku was a villain. And if you're wondering, the big three also didn't believe Deku was a villain too. So yeah. So when it's the time for comes time for the sports festival, he's like, okay, well, we got time for the sports festival. As he says, as she says, may the second year representative cut to the stand. As actually in this one, it's actually Katsuki and Izuku come up, since Katsuki's like, hey, you want to do this with me? It's like, wait, why is two of them out there? It's like, what? As Izuku says, let's start off. It's like, okay, everyone, listen up. As you all have made known, I was thrown in prison for something I didn't do. I was framed. But now I'm back in stronger than I was before. As in this one, Deku's dad is all for one, and Izuku did have a quirk. It was a very, very, very powerful fire quirk. It could easily have destroyed all of Japan, probably. It just a couple of fire blasts. If not trained. So All For One just took the quirk, but he never used it to protect his family and his son mostly. As he told this to Izuku, as he's like, it's okay, Dad. I understand. As like, do you want the quirk? As he's like, no thanks. If if that quirk is as powerful as you say it is, it's better not in my it's better to keep it in someone who knows how to use quirks. And he's like, well, as this was also the day that he left too. As he says, also, my father is a villain all for one. Just take me as an example, as you could become more than what you start off as. Son of a villain, hero, what anything. You could become more than what you start off as, no matter what. As he says, give it your all. As Koski says, cause you know we aren't giving it our all, because we're giving it our all too. So we expect the best from all of you. As everyone just starts to cheer. And the heroes are like, such a heroic speech. Even coming from the son of a number one villain. As then Midnight announces the cavalry battle and says, time for the first part of the sports festival. As it's the obstacle course race. As he's like, as when she says go, he's like, and 3, 2, 1. As the tunnel gets frozen like in cannon, but Todoroki quickly burns it once he gets out. But Bakugo, Yajirozu, Kirishima, and Deku this time also get out. With Deku just using his raw physical speed, and it could easily keep up with Todoroki and Bakugo when they're almost at their full speed. As I hit with that, as they're like, make the best man win. As they both smirk and say, "I know it." As they all just run, as they all take care of the 0-pointers. As President Mike looks like, whoa, look at this! UA's top 3 second years took out all the 0-pointers. What an amazing display of power from these 3. As they're like, whoa, what's his quirk? I thought it was a strength enhancer. And he's like, well, turns out it was as Aizawa says, well, turns out it was a sub quirk somewhat. And he says his true quirk is called Ghoul, and he basically explains it. And he also says that if he eats people, like the more of a malicious heart they have, the more powerful it will become. As I was just shocked by what I just said. And he also says if he doesn't eat human meat for a month, he's probably gonna go rabid, and he's probably gonna go insane and start killing spree until he gets some good meat. As they're all just scared. As when they're at the ropes right now. As Izuku just jumps on the rope, as he uses it to launch himself to the minefield. As he steps on the mine, and he's like, I got an idea. As he uses the mine to shoot himself up, as then he just uses his main Kagune and he just uses it to propel himself down. And then he uses it like if Ojiro would use his tail to smack to like gain like air momentum. Basically, he would do that. As he gets first, Bakugo and Todoroki actually tied for second this time. With Tenya in fourth, and Yagirosa with sixth. Let's just say. As the cavalry battle, and I still says who has the 10 million points. As everyone still glares at Izuku. But Izuku just turns on his Kagune and does the good old fashioned finger crack, which gets everyone off of him due to all the amounts he's producing. Which is even more than most villains. The only person that can probably match that is Stain and All For One. And anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it off, guys. See ya. Hope you guys enjoyed the 200 sub special. Peace.